Well, welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Rising. This is part 2. You know the deal. Cue the damn intro already. And when we did that, it put the trailer right where it needed to be, which was this far inside the cone. And we literally tight-roped. When I tell you a game of inches, folks, we literally tight-roped that all the way down. I used a second get out and look, and I had to remember where it was. And we put the truck right, this far in front of the box. We got out, we used a second get out and look, made sure our truck was in line. And I was uneasy, folks. So we had to do 3 pull-ups to get in here. And, if we weren't inside this box when we blowed our horn, it was an automatic fail. We would have had to come back. Like, I was not too sure that I was in bounds. It was scary as hell. But we had, if we have to come back Thursday, whatever. Went in, because we backed up, we had to straighten our wheel because we were so close to the line that our tire was outside the cone. That should tell you how far we were inside. So I actually had to turn my wheel to make it inside, to make it straight, because it was curved. It was insane. Like, I'm really proud of myself that I pulled that off. It was a pure test of skill. If I can do it, you can do it. So just be patient with yourself. Don't get in your head and walk that trailer back. So we ended up blowing our horn, and luckily we passed. We went to the road test for all the marbles. 4th quarter, game on the line. We start our driving test. We drove all the way there. My main thing was I need to keep the speed limit down. I have a habit of speeding. It's just, and there's a lot of tricky spots. It's kind of rural country back roads through small towns where speed limit signs change. So we just said, you know what? We're going to ride 5 miles under the speed limit. So that's what we did. And this is where we are. So we ended up having to do some lane changes. He asked me what a bridge height was, which I tell you, this bridge was literally 13.7 and the truck's 13.6. Like, it was scary going underneath this train bridge. I was like, I don't even know if this is possible. And he's like, what was that sign height? And I said, oh, it was 13.7. I said, I didn't think I could get this truck under there. I was like, yeah. But, so he ended up having me change some lanes. I had to make a right turn. And then I ended up having to watch some speed limit signs. I never saw a speed limit sign change. So we're just sitting there doing 35 and a 55. And he's like, oh yeah, the speed limit sign changed, but it doesn't actually mark it. I said, oh, okay. So I started doing the 55, which was like 50. He had me do some right turns. And then I've been working, getting my trailer to hug the corner. And he's like, well, make a right-hand turn here. And it was a sharp turn. I was like, whoa. And when I tell you, it was my greatest turn around a right hand. I literally rid that trailer all the way around. I was so proud of myself. I got so excited in this test. And I was like, that's the first time I ever did this. The instructor didn't care, but I was freaking proud of myself. Like, I was like, oh my God, that was awesome. Because, I take pride in my driving skills. I really do. And I really want to learn to drive these things because they are just, it's fun. And I'm like, I have to pass this test. And, I thought I showed the instructor that I had it. So we ended up having to come up to that speed limit sign change, because of all the rain. You couldn't see where the speed limit sign changed, where a lot of people fail. And I saw it said it changes to 45. So I was already doing 50. We're gonna go down to 45 right now. So by the time I got to the sign, I was at 45. I didn't have to risk it. But as talking to the instructor, it went to 30. I was like, whoa. So I slammed on the air brakes and I was like, he's going through the windshield, whatever, So I ended up having to go through a small town. And then he's like, make a left. And what do we see? No! giant fire truck sitting in our way, cutting trees down from the previous storm that blew trees in the road on a one-way road. One way this way, one way that way. And I'm like, oh, how is this gonna work? So I literally sat there, the fire truck moved, and then he stopped again because there's trees all over the road. That happened, and I'm just sitting there like, what do I do? And I made the mistake of getting too close to this fire truck. And he was like, go around. I couldn't see. It's not like a car. I was nervous because if I hit this semi, I'm failing. Plus all the other legal consequences. I couldn't see. And finally the fire truck guy was like, all right, you can go through. I was like, well, I hope people stop for me. And he got mad at me because I almost hit the fire truck, but you know, awesome driving skills. I cleared the fire truck with a trailer. I don't know how I did it, but I put the truck right almost in a ditch, right along the side of the road, and got around. Also, very skillfully. We got around. He ended up having to take me on the highway, and we came up to a construction zone on the highway. I was like, well, my driver coach on the way there said, make sure you're doing 35 through the construction zone. So that's where I was heading. And remember how I told you guys I was afraid of getting a speeding ticket and getting marked down for speeding? Well, he gave me a speed warning for going too slow. Yep. I went down, got too slow. He marked me down. So I got a speed warning for going too slow. I was like, oh, well, I guess I got the opposite.
You suck!
Because the construction zone was up further and they had cones here. I'd have done the same thing in a car, to be honest, because I believe in not speeding through construction zone. He had me get off, and then we went back through that same section that was like the speed limit change, where it was like this, the tree was hanging over the sign, but we already knew. And then he had me make a right-hand turn, which was also a very good right-hand turn. It was in a tight corner. And then he had me make another right-hand turn, and he was like, what did that speed limit sign say? What was the sign underneath it, which said truck route? Which is my ultimate fear in truck driving, is trying to figure out what's a truck route and what's not a truck route. But I guess we'll learn that eventually. So we ended up going by that sign through a small town at like 25 miles an hour. Took us forever. I was like, I ain't speeding. Ain't doing it. Then I had to make a left-hand turn, and I'm pretty sure we just backtracked across the same way that I came across in the first place. And then he had me go through this town under that bridge again that was small, well, you know, the 13-7 bridge. And it's like a 2-lane road. So we ended up going through there, and he was like, when you possibly can, get over and make an emergency stop. And, you know, I didn't plan on doing that at all, but on the way there, he's like, make sure you put your hazards on, put your blinker on, you know, make a complete stop. If you're there for longer than 10 minutes, make sure you get out your triangles. So I was like, all right. So I got over safely, put my turn signal on, got over, sat there, put my hazards on, and I just sat there. He's like, all right, you're good. He's like, when it's clear, get over and merge back into traffic. I turned my turn signal on like right away. It might have fell off, I don't know, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we ended up going back. We went into the testing site, and this is where the moment of truth happened, folks. He told me what I did wrong. He marked me down for, you know, getting behind that semi too close, for, you know, a speed infraction. And then apparently when I went through and merged back into traffic from the side of the road, he says I didn't put my blinker on soon enough. And then he says the one thing I'm never gonna want to hear.